Somewhere above you tonight, the moon is getting ready to change color. You do not have to do anything to make it happen. You need not be anywhere special. Wherever you are sitting or lying down as you listen, the sky is already moving toward the moment, slow and certain, the way it has moved for far longer than anyone alive can count. So let your shoulders come down from around your ears. Let your breath go a little longer on the way out than it did on the way in. There is nowhere you need to be for the next while. Only here, with the sound of this voice and the image of a red moon forming behind your eyes, you can put the day down now. It will keep until morning without your help. Feel the weight of your own body settle into the chair, or the bed, or the ground beneath you. Feel the small, steady warmth of your own hands. That is all you are asked to bring to a night like this. A body, a little patience, and a piece of open sky. You have heard this night called a blood moon. It is a lovely name and there is truth in it. But the truth is gentler and stranger than the name lets on. The full face of the moon will not go dark and red tonight. This is not one of those nights when the moon vanishes whole into shadow and hangs there like a dim, dark coal. What is coming is a deep partial eclipse. At its deepest, almost all of the moon slips into the dark heart of the Earth's shadow, about 96 parts of its round face out of 100, but a thin, bright rim stays with it the entire time, a clean, curved edge of silver that never once lets go. So here is what you will see, if the sky is clear where you are. Most of the moon glowing in copper and orange and a deep smoky red, the color of an old penny or of embers banked low in a hearth near the end of a long evening. And along one edge, that bright sliver, stubborn and pale like a fingernail of daylight resting against all of that shadow. Not a black moon. Not a wholly red moon. A copper moon with a silver rim. That is the real thing. And in the end, it is worth more than the exaggeration. And here is something that matters, because the word eclipse makes so many people uneasy. You can watch this with your bare eyes, all night long. There is nothing here that can harm them. No glasses, no dark square of glass held up between you and the sky. That warning belongs to a different kind of eclipse, the solar kind, when it is the sun being covered, and staring straight at it can burn the eye before you feel a thing. Tonight is the opposite kind of night. The sun is safely on the far side of the earth, exactly where it belongs. What you are watching is only the moon, wearing the shadow of the very ground you are standing on. Soft light, borrowed light. You can watch it the way you would watch a slow fire in a hearth, for as long as you like, as often as you like. Nothing about it asks a single thing of your body. This is the full moon of late August. The old farming calendars named it the sturgeon moon, after the great old fish that were pulled from the deep lakes at this time of year. Fish that were ancient long before we came along. Fish that swim low and slow through dark water and have outlasted almost everything that ever tried to hurry them. It is a fitting name, really, for a moon that is about to go down into shadow and rise back out of it, unhurt, taking its time. And this moon does not arrive alone in the story. 2 weeks before, on the 12th of August, the sun itself was covered. A total eclipse of the sun, far across the world. These 2 nights are a matched pair. The first one opened the door. This one closes it behind you. Skywatchers call a stretch like this an eclipse season, a short span when the sun, the earth, and the moon fall into a close enough line, twice over, for the shadows to reach. You are standing now at the far end of that season, the second bookend. The closing note of a piece of music that began a fortnight ago. If you know a little about the stars, you might wonder where the moon truly sits tonight. The honest answer comes in 2 parts, and both of them are true. Turn a telescope toward it, and the moon stands among the faint, watery stars of Aquarius, the water-bearer. But in the older tradition of the zodiac, the one that most astrologers still read the sky by, this eclipse falls in Pisces, the 2 fish, a little past the 4th degree. Those 2 answers drifted apart across thousands of years as the Earth wobbled slowly on its axis, the way a spinning top wobbles as it tires. So the astronomer and the star reader will each hand you a different name, and you are free to hold both of them at once without choosing a side. In the reading we will follow tonight, the moon is in Pisces. And clear across the width of the solar system, the sun sits in Virgo, the two of them facing one another over all that empty space. Now, what does a night like this mean? People have asked that question for as long as there have been people to look up, and the honest place to begin is that no one can tell you what it means for certain. The moon will redden whether you watch or not. It does not know your name or your troubles or what kind of year you have had, but for thousands of years, in nearly every place where human beings have ever lived, someone has looked up at a moon gone dark and red and felt, without needing a reason, that the moment carried weight. That feeling is very old. It is shared by more people than you could ever hope to count, and tonight you join a long, unbroken line of them, standing under the same reddening, letting it mean something. Here is what the tradition tends to say, offered to you as a way of seeing, and never as a promise about your life. It is the sign of water, and of dreams, and of surrender, of intuition, the kind of knowing that arrives with no argument attached, and of imagination, and mercy, and the slow loosening of the grip. If Virgo across the sky is the part of us that keeps the lists and folds the towels and lies awake wondering whether we did the day right, then Pisces is the part that lets the list fall to the floor. The part that trusts and floats. You already know that pull. You have felt it on a Sunday evening when one part of you is drawing up the week ahead, the appointments and the errands and the things that must not be forgotten, while another part only wants to stay exactly where it is, in the warm and the quiet, and let tomorrow arrive on its own. That is the full axis in a single ordinary feeling. The moon does not invent it. It only lifts a lamp toward it for one night. And you have known the deeper version of it too, the harder one, when you have gripped an outcome so tightly, willing a person to be well, or a thing to turn out right, and slowly learned that the gripping changed nothing at all, and that the only rest to be had was in letting your hands open. Pisces is the sign of the open hand. That is not the same as giving up, whatever you may once have been told. The open hand can still hold what it loves. It only stops squeezing. There is a kind of strength that looks from the outside almost exactly like letting go, and this is the corner of the sky where the old traditions keep it. An eclipse, in this old way of seeing, is not a beginning. It plants nothing. Instead, it brings things to a head. It hurries them along toward their conclusion. What it marks is a culmination, a coming to, a tide climbing to its full height before it turns. This one sits close to a point the sky readers call the North Node, which they hold to be the direction of growth and opening rather than closing off. So the leaning of the night, if it leans at all, tilts toward the kind of release that makes room, toward something old washing back out with the water, so that something new has space to come in on the following wave. People often report vivid dreams around eclipse nights. Feelings rise nearer to the surface than they usually dare to. A few tears you did not schedule. None of that is a sign that anything is wrong with you. It is, if anything, only the tide doing the plain work of tides. One soft word of care before the night begins in earnest. On an evening like this, when feeling runs high and the mind goes loose and dreamy, the old counsel is a modest one. This is not the hour for the great, final, cannot-be-undone decision. Not the night to send the letter you can never call back. Not the night to end a thing in a rush of feeling, or to swear the enormous oath. Let the tide be high. Let it lift you off the sand a little, but leave the deciding to the morning when your feet are back on solid ground. There is nothing you are required to fix tonight. You are allowed to only witness, and witnessing, if you want it to be, is task enough for one person on one night. So let us walk through it together, hour by hour, the way it will truly unfold over the middle of the country and the eastern states, where the moon rides high and the entire event is there to be seen. If you live further west, it comes earlier in your evening, with the moon sitting lower over in the east, and far across the ocean, over the British Isles and much of Europe and Africa, the moon drops below the horizon at dawn, while the shadow is still on its face. So those watchers catch only the first half of the story before the morning carries the rest away. The first thing that happens, almost no eye ever sees, around 24 minutes past 9 there in the evening, Eastern Time, which is 24 minutes past 8 by the central clock, The outer edge of the Earth's shadow first brushes against the moon. This part is the penumbra, the pale and soft outer shadow, the grey hem of it all. It does not bite into the moon so much as breathe against it. It only dims it, faintly, the way a room seems to fade when someone lowers a lamp next door. For now, the moon still looks full and ordinary. This is the held breath before the story starts. If you are outside, this is a fine hour to find your spot and settle into it. Bring a chair you can lean back in so your neck is not craning. Pull a blanket over your knees against the late chill. Let your eyes grow used to the dark, which takes longer than you would think, so give them their time. There is no rush anywhere in this. The shadow is patient, and you are allowed to be patient alongside it. A little after 10:30 at night, Eastern Time, nearer to 34 minutes past 9, out in the central zone, the true shadow arrives. This one is the umbra, the dark core of the Earth's shadow, and this is the part you can see with no effort at all. A curve of darkness touches one edge of the bright disk and begins, slowly, to eat into it. It looks as though something is taking a clean, round bite out of the moon. The bite deepens by the minute. You could turn away to warm the kettle, pour a cup of tea, and come back to find it visibly larger than you left it. Rest your eyes on that curve for a while, because of what it truly is. That dark arc creeping across the moon is the shadow of the Earth itself. It is the edge of the ground beneath your own 2 feet, thrown across 250,000 miles of empty black space onto the face of another world. The roundness of that shadow is the roundness of our own planet, drawn out plainly in the dark for anyone patient enough to sit and watch it happen. Long ago, before anyone could climb high enough to look down and check, people worked out that the Earth must be a ball partly by studying this exact curve, night after eclipse night, and reasoning that a shadow this round could only be cast by a world that was round. You are seeing, in slow motion, the very proof they saw, the full shape of our home sketched softly onto the moon. For the next hour and a half or so, the shadow climbs. It slides on across the face of the moon, covering more and more, and as it goes, something tender happens to the color. The part in shadow does not turn plainly black the way you might expect it to. It fills instead with a deep and living warmth, moving from copper into orange and on and down into a low, smoky red. This is the strangest and the loveliest part of the entire affair, and there is a plain reason underneath it. The moon is not making that red light, you are. Or rather, the Earth is, and you are a small part of the Earth. Think of every sunrise and every sunset that is happening around the rim of the planet at that very moment. Every dawn breaking pink over some far ocean. Every dusk settling gold and rose behind some mountain on the other side of the world. All of that reddened light, from all of those horizons at once, bends around the curved edge of the Earth and pours softly into the shadow and comes to rest, gently, on the moon. The red you are gazing up at is the gathered light of every sunset on Earth, thrown across that same enormous distance and laid down on the stone in the sky. Whatever else you carry away from tonight, you are welcome to keep that one thing. The moon tones the color of our sunsets because, for a little while, it is wearing every last one of them at once. None of this is quick, and that slowness is a mercy, not a flaw. The full arc of the thing, from the first dark bite to the deepest red, takes the better part of 2 hours. You do not need to watch every minute of it with your eyes fixed and staring. Glance up now and again between other small and comfortable things. Warm your hands around a cup. Let your mind drift off somewhere and wander back. The moon will still be there each time you return to it, a little deeper than before, keeping its slow appointment whether or not you manage to keep yours. And while all of this is unfolding, look for the company the moon is keeping up there. Not far from it in the sky sits Saturn, steady and pale and gold, the ringed one, holding a slow watch, and low beneath the moon, if your horizon is open and clear, a single bright star named Fomalhaut, sitting nearly alone in a wide and empty patch of darkness, the way it always sits, a solitary lamp in an otherwise quiet quarter of the heavens, the reddening moon, the ringed planet, and the lonely star. A small and unhurried gathering, arranged for absolutely no one, and there for you all the same, should you happen to lift your face toward it. There is no wrong way to spend this stretch of the night. You might stand at a window with a lamp switched off behind you, so the glass does not throw your own reflection back across the moon. You could step out onto a porch instead and let the cool night air do its slow work on your face. Some people like to share a night like this with someone else. The two of them just watching a far red rock together, saying almost nothing, and some like to keep it entirely to themselves, which is its own fine company. The moon does not mind in the least which one you choose. Then comes the deepest moment, the greatest eclipse. Over the eastern states it falls at 12 minutes past midnight, just as the 27th of August turns over into the 28th. In the central zone it is 12 minutes past 11 at night. In the mountain zone, 12 minutes past 10. And out on the Pacific coast, 12 minutes past 9. 4 different clocks. 4 different numbers on 4 different rooms across a wide and sleeping country, and one single instant holding all of them together. Whatever the hour happens to read where you're standing, you and every other watcher across the land are looking up at the very same moon, in the very same heartbeat, held together at the bottom of the very same shadow. That is a quiet kind of company to keep. Thousands upon thousands of upturned faces at once, nearly all of them strangers to one another, all of them seeing the one thing at the one time. At this moment, the moon is as far down in shadow as it will go, all night. Nearly all of it drowned now in copper and red. And still, along that one thin edge, the bright rim holds on. It refuses to go under. A great ring of shadow with a single lit lip. If there is a center to this night, a low and full place where the tide stands at its very deepest, this is it. So if you are able, be still with it for a moment. You need think nothing grand at all. There is no feeling you are meant to summon on command. If one comes rising up in you, let it come. And if none comes, that is more than fine. The moon does not need your tears to earn the watching. It asks only, if it asks anything at all, that you be here while it happens, and let it happen in front of you. You may find your breathing has already slowed on its own, without your asking it to, the way it slows inside an old church, or beside deep still water, or in any room where something larger than the day has walked in. Let it stay slow. There is nowhere the next few minutes need to carry you. This is also, in the old reading, the very heart of the release. If there is something you've been carrying that feels ready, at last, to be set gently down. Perhaps a grief that has gone soft around its edges with the passing of time. A worry you have handled so often it is worn smooth in your pocket. Some older version of yourself that you outgrew, slowly, without ever marking the day it happened. This is the traditional moment to loosen your hold on it, not to fix it, not to solve all of it tonight, in the cold, in the dark, only to admit, under a shadowed moon, that you are ready to carry the thing more lightly than you have been carrying it. The moon will not lift it from you, but it makes a good and patient witness while you begin to lift it, a little for yourself. Then the tide turns, slowly, in the same unhurried way it came. The shadow begins to slide back off the far edge of the moon. The bright part grows. The red retreats toward the rim and thins and finally goes. By around 10 minutes before 2 in the morning, Eastern Time, 10 minutes before 1 on the central clock, the darkest heart of the shadow has let the moon go free. The copper drains slowly away. The silver returns, edge first, spreading across the face until the round bright moon is whole again and riding down the western sky toward the coming morning. There is a small lesson folded inside that motion, if you would like one. And it cost you nothing at all to pick up. The shadow was never permanent. It was only ever passing through, on its way to somewhere else. At the deepest moment, when nearly the entire moon had gone dark, it can feel for a breath as though the darkness has won the argument and means to stay. It never does. The very same motion that carried the shadow on across the face is the motion that carries it off again. Nothing across the entire night ever asks the moon to stay dark. The shape of the evening, from the first faint touch to the very last, is a going under and a coming back up. You have lived through nights that were shaped like that yourself. You already know, in your body, how they end. The very last of it clears near 2 minutes past 3 in the small hours, by the eastern clock, near 2 minutes past 2 by the central clock. That pale outer shadow, the one that touched first and hardly showed itself, is the last one to leave. And with it finally gone, the moon is only the moon again, full and plain and bright, as though nothing at all had happened to it. If you slept through the tail end of the night, you missed nothing you truly needed. The moon keeps no record of any of it. It carries no mark of where it has been. By the time it sets, it is once more the plain, full moon that late August always brings, and the strange and lovely thing it did has folded itself back down into the ordinary fact of it. There is one more thing to hold, and it reaches a long way back past tonight. This exact night is not a single, lonely event. It belongs to a family. Eclipses come down the years in long lines, repeating in very nearly the same shape roughly every 18 years, so that the moon reddening over you tonight has a grandparent and a great-grandparent that reddened over people now long gone, and will have grandchildren of its own that will redden over people not yet born. Somebody stood beneath an eclipse very like this one, before your own grandparents drew their first breath. Somebody will stand beneath its near twin long after your name has slipped out of every memory. The moon keeps doing this. It has always kept doing this. Tonight is only your turn, in a line that has no clear beginning we can find, and no visible end. You need not make anything of that at all, but it is a warm thing to know, on a dark night, that you are not the first to look up frightened, or grateful, or unsure of everything, and you will not be the last, so let the night settle now. Maybe you watched all of it, from the first faint dimming to the last soft return of the silver. Perhaps you caught only the deep coppery middle before going back and out of the cold. Or maybe you are listening to this on some other evening entirely, with no eclipse in your sky at all, only the idea of one, and the sound of a voice describing it. However it went for you, here is the honest ledger, the true accounting of a night like this one. If the moon reddened, and your breath caught and something in your chest cracked open and let go, then that was real, and it was yours, and you may keep it for the rest of your life. And if the moon reddened while you felt, more or less, nothing much at all. If you watched a distant rock change its color in the sky and thought, well now, there it is, and went back indoors to your tea and your warm chair, then that was real too, and whole, and no less of a night than the other kind. There is no grade waiting at the end of this. No one anywhere is measuring what you manage to feel. A quiet night, in which nothing dramatic moved through you, is not a failure of anything. It is only a quiet night. And quiet nights make up the great bulk of any life, and they are good, and they are enough. The tradition makes a great deal of intensity, of release and revelation, and the tide of high feeling breaking clean over your head, and now and again it does exactly that. But presence is the deeper thing underneath all of it. And presence is available to you on any terms at all. To have been here for it. To have turned your face up toward the sky, and to have given a passing shadow a few slow minutes of your one and only attention on a single ordinary and unrepeatable night of your one life. That is enough. That was always going to be enough. Somewhere out there tonight, someone will watch the entire thing through tears they cannot quite explain to themselves. Someone else will nod off in the chair before the deepest part and wait to a plain white moon, never knowing what they slept softly through. Both of them are fine. Both of them belong to this night exactly as much as you do, and exactly as much as each other. The sky does not keep a favorite. The moon is bright again now, or it will be by the time morning comes. Your part in all of it is done, and it was a small and gentle part, and you did it well by doing very nearly nothing at all. Rest whenever you are ready to rest. Let the dreams come, if the dreams should come, and carry with you, into whatever tomorrow turns out to hold, only this one thing. The shadow passes, it always passes, and the light it borrowed for a little while comes back, edge first, the way it always does.